The cheap, flickering, fluorescent light of the hospital's ceiling became my sky. For 6 weeks, it was my sun, my moon, and my indifferent stars. The world outside, the world of mountain air and shared laughter, had shrunk to the dimensions of a sterile white room, ruled by the rhythmic beep of machines and the dull, persistent ache in my shattered leg. My name is Leo, and I was the designated historian of my friend group, the one who always had the camera, capturing the moments that were supposed to define our unbreakable bond. There were 4 of us: Marcus, the charismatic leader, with an ambition that burned so brightly it often cast the rest of us in shadow; Chloe, the social media maven, who lived her life through a filter of carefully curated perfection; and Ben, the quiet follower, good-natured but lacking a spine, content to drift in Marcus's powerful wake; and me, Leo, the planner, the steady hand, the one who believed their mantra of all for one and one for all was gospel. We chased adventure. We summited peaks in the Rockies, navigated canyons in Utah, and got wonderfully lost on coastal roads. I documented it all: the triumphant smiles, the campfire stories, the quiet moments of camaraderie. These images and videos were the sacred texts of our friendship. Our last trip was meant to be our crowning achievement, a grueling multi-day trek through a remote, unnamed massif in the Cascade Range. It was Marcus's idea, of course. Bolder, higher, further. On the 3rd day, the mountain reminded us of its power. The ground beneath me, loosened by a sudden downpour, simply gave way. I remember the sensation of falling, not as a sudden drop, but as a slow, sickening betrayal by the earth itself. Then, a brutal, definitive crack as my tibia snapped against a wedge of granite, followed by the blinding pain and the darkness. When I came to, the rain was a cold drizzle. My leg was a mess of blood and protruding bone. The pain was a living entity, a predator chewing on my nerves. But the greater agony came from the conversation happening a few feet away. "We can't carry him," Marcus said, his voice stripped of its usual charm, replaced by a cold, pragmatic edge. "Look at that sky. Another storm is coming. It's a 6-hour hike to the ridge, best case. With him, it'd be 2 days. We won't all make it. We can't just leave him." Ben's voice was thin, reedy with panic. "What are you crying for, Chloe?" "It does nothing," Marcus snapped. "Leo is tough. We'll get to a signal, and we'll send a chopper. It's the only logical choice. He would want us to be safe. He would want us to be safe." The words slithered into my pain-fogged brain. I tried to call out, to scream, but all that came out was a guttural groan. Through a slit of vision, I saw them. Marcus, his jaw set. Chloe, weeping but nodding, her fear overriding her loyalty. Ben, looking back at me one last time, his face a portrait of pathetic guilt, before turning to follow Marcus. They left me a single water bottle and a lie that they would send help. I watched their silhouettes disappear into the mist, and a coldness far deeper than the mountain rain seeped into my bones. They never sent help. 2 days later, on the brink of septic shock and hypothermia, I was found by a pair of vacationing hikers from Seattle who had taken an unscheduled detour. The rescue was an ordeal, the hospital stay a blur of surgeries, titanium rods, morphine drips, and excruciating physiotherapy. But the physical recovery was the easy part. The real work was learning to live with the ghost of my friend's betrayal. In my sterile room, I had my phone, and I watched their lives continue, unabated. They told everyone a seamless story. Leo, the daredevil, had insisted on taking a different, more dangerous route. They had tried to stop him. They had waited, searched, but he was gone. They were heroes who had survived a tragedy. Chloe posted a tearful TBT a week after my disappearance, a photo of the 4 of us on a sunny beach. The caption read, "Some bonds can never be broken, no matter the distance. For a family, short unbreakable." The post got thousands of likes. Marcus used the story to his advantage at his corporate job, spinning a tale of leadership and resilience in the face of crisis, earning him a promotion. Ben just went silent, a ghost in the machine. Every post, every lie was a fresh wave of agony. They hadn't just left me to die. They had erased me and rewritten history, casting themselves as the noble survivors. The grief curdled, the sorrow hardened. In the crucible of that hospital bed, my molten rage was forged into something cold, sharp, and patient. Revenge. I wasn't a fighter or a corporate shark. I was a historian, a storyteller, and I realized my greatest weapon was the one they had always taken for granted: the truth, as documented by me. My recovery became my training camp. As my legs slowly healed, my mind sharpened. I spent hours hunched over my laptop, not just reliving old memories, but analyzing them. I compiled every photo, every video clip from the dozens of trips we had taken. I taught myself advanced video editing. I created a timeline, cross-referencing their digital lives with my own documented reality. My most crucial piece of evidence came from the camera I'd been wearing. It was smashed in the fall, but the memory card was intact. I spent nearly $1,000 on data recovery. What came back was gold, a corrupted audio file from the moments after my fall. With careful filtering, I could isolate their voices, the panic, the argument, and Marcus's chilling final decision. We'll send a chopper. It's the only logical choice. The plan took a full year to construct. A year of painful physio, of learning to walk again, of watching them flourish on a foundation of lies. I chose my stage carefully. Marcus, in his ascent to civic grace, had become the chair of the annual Founders Gala, a high-profile charity event for the city's elite. It was his coronation, a celebration of his public image as a compassionate leader. The one-year anniversary of the day they left me on the mountain. Poetic. The night of the gala, I didn't buy a ticket. I didn't need one. I had spent weeks cultivating a relationship with the event's AV technician, a young freelancer, feeding him a story about a surprise tribute video for Marcus, a gift from an old friend. I provided the file on a thumb drive, with specific instructions for when it should be played. I watched the event's live stream from a quiet bar across the street. The ballroom was a sea of tuxedos and gowns. Marcus was on stage, looking regal, speaking about community, trust, and the importance of never leaving anyone behind. Chloe was in the front row, capturing it all for her Instagram Live, a vapid smile plastered on her face. Ben was there too, lurking near the back, looking, as always, deeply uncomfortable in his own skin. "It's in times of crisis," Marcus pontificated, his voice resonating with rehearsed sincerity, "that our true character is revealed." "Cue the video," I texted the technician. The large screens behind Marcus flickered. His corporate presentation vanished. The opening chords of a familiar, nostalgic song filled the room, the soundtrack to one of our first road trips. The screen lit up with a montage of our friendship. Sun-drenched photos, laughing video clips of us as younger, happier people. My work. The room murmured with appreciation. Chloe beamed, thinking it was a genuine tribute. Marcus looked momentarily confused, then adopted a humble smile, ready to accept the accolades. Then, the music warped, slowing down, becoming discordant and sinister. The sunny images were replaced by shaky, first-person footage of a rocky, mist-shrouded trail. My footage. The date stamp appeared in the bottom corner. The audience fell silent. My voiceover began, calm and dispassionate. "Character isn't revealed in a crisis," I said, my voice echoing through the grand ballroom. "It's forged long before. A crisis just shows it to the world." I narrated the events of the day, my words clinical and precise. Then came the audio, the raw, unfiltered sound from my broken camera. The audience heard it all. Marcus's cold dismissal, Chloe's panicked sobs, Ben's feeble protest. Then the final damning sentence, "He would want us to be safe." The screen cut to a time-stamped photo I'd managed to take with my phone as they walked away. 3 figures receding into the fog. It was followed by a rapid-fire succession of images. My mangled leg on the mountainside, my pale, tubed face in the ICU, the X-rays showing the titanium rod bolting my bones together. Then, a split screen. On the left, a photo of me, unconscious in a hospital bed. On the right, Chloe's Instagram post from the same day, posing with a cocktail captioned #LivingMyBestLife. Another split screen, me grimacing in pain during a physiotherapy session. On the right, a news clipping announcing Marcus's promotion for his grace under pressure. The entire ballroom was tomb silent. The only sound was the sharp intake of hundreds of breaths. The video's final shot was of me, as I was now, healed, strong. Looking directly into the camera, I was standing on a new mountain peak, alone, against a brilliant sunrise. They left me in the hospital, my voiceover concluded, each word a perfectly placed nail in their coffin. But the real hospital was the friendship I thought I was in. The sickness was their character. I'm cured now, this was their treatment. The screen went black. For a full 10 seconds, there was no sound. Then, a low murmur erupted into a tidal wave of shocked, horrified noise. Every phone in the room was now pointed not at the screen, but at the stage. At Marcus, frozen in the spotlight, his face the color of ash. Chloe had dropped her phone, her hands covering her mouth. Her perfect makeup a grotesque mask of horror. At the back of the room, Ben simply turned and pushed his way through the stunned crowd, his face streaked with tears, and fled. I finished my drink, placed a bill on the bar, and walked out into the cool night air. I didn't need to see the fallout. I had already pictured it 1,000 times. The public disgrace, the sponsors pulling out, the social media implosion, the professional ruin. They weren't just exposed, they were vivisected. Their inner ugliness laid bare for the world they cared so much about. They had left me on a mountain, believing I was a liability. But they forgot what I did on those mountains. I watched, I documented, and I always remembered the trail. This time, the trail I remembered led directly back to them. I took a deep breath of the free air. I was alone, but for the first time in a year, I wasn't lonely. The weight was gone. I had reclaimed my story.